Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to not only Friday, but the beginning of May. We have made it to the end of week 6 of digital learning, and we welcome May. So we are working on lesson 76, and that is explore area of trapezoids. Let's go ahead and read our objective for today. So we will investigate the relationship between the areas of trapezoids and parallelograms. So let's go ahead and go over the example they have for us. So first they say show the relationship between the areas of trapezoids and parallelograms. So step 1. And these steps you can either go ahead and get a grid paper and do these steps or just follow along and see the example here. You don't have to do that part. Okay, so first step. On grid paper, draw 2 copies of the trapezoid. Count the grid squares to make your trapezoid match this one. So we have a trapezoid here and they have a background of grid paper. Step 2, cut out the trapezoids. Step 3, turn one trapezoid until the 2 trapezoids form a parallelogram. So here we can see a parallelogram with the two trapezoids together, and notice the 2 parallel lines on the side. That's why it's called a parallelogram. Step 4, find the length of the base of the parallelogram. Add the lengths of one shorter trapezoid base and one longer trapezoid base. So to find the base of just the parallelogram, we would have to see this base right here. And to find that, we would add the 4 plus the 7. So first step for area of a trapezoid is to add the bases. So 4 plus 7 gives us 11 units. And notice they didn't have the unit of measure here, so they put units. Don't forget to always have units if there's no unit of measure. Step 5, find the area of the parallelogram. So remember, the formula for a parallelogram was area equals base times height. So we have our base number because we added the bases together for that trapezoid. So we added to find the base. Now we take that base number of 11 and we're multiplying by the height, which was 3. So 11 times 3 gives us 33 square units. So if we were just finding the parallelogram area, this would be the final answer. But we are not finding the area of a parallelogram. We're finding an area of one of these trapezoids. So let's look at our last step. The last step here, step 6. So the parallelogram is made of 2 congruent trapezoids. So 2 trapezoids that are the same diameters. So next and last step for the area of a trapezoid is to divide by 2 because we only want to find the area for one trapezoid. So notice we had 2 trapezoids here. We only want to find the area of one of these. So first we added the base numbers. Then we multiplied the base number by the height number. Last step is to take that answer and divide by 2, which gives us 16.5 square units. Okay, so let's go ahead and try one together, or try one or two together. I think we'll try 2 together. So it says find the area of the trapezoid. Trace and cut 2 copies of the trapezoid. Arrange them to form a parallelogram. So we can just look at this one. We don't have to go ahead and do that on a separate paper. Okay, so find the base of the parallelogram. So if we notice, it has 2 base numbers. It has the top number and the bottom number. Remember, they just put them side by side and ended up adding them. So we don't have to redraw it. We can just know we're adding the base number. So they already have 3 plus the other base number is 5. And 3 plus 5 will give us 8. So far we have our base number, which is 8. B, find the area of the parallelogram using area equals base times height. So now we are taking that base number of 8 and we want to write that here. Then we need to take the height number. So height is 4 units. So we want to write that 4 on that next line. So 8 times 4, and that will give us 32 square units. So right now that is the area of a parallelogram, but we want to find the area of the trapezoid. So we're taking that area of the parallelogram, 32, and we want to divide that by 2 because we just want the area of a trapezoid, which would be half that of a parallelogram. So 32 divided by 2, well, 2 goes into 30 10 times. Left over would be 12. 30 goes into 12 6 times. So it'd be 16 units squared, or 16 square units. Okay, Now, I want to go ahead and do number 2 with you, but this time I want to write the formula of the area of the trapezoid. So let's walk through this. So A stands for area. We have area equals, remember what we did first? We added the bases. So base 1 plus base 2. So first thing, and put parentheses around it, we want to add the bases. Then remember, after we added the bases, we multiplied. And what we multiplied by was the height. So we can use H for height. And then after you multiply by the height, you had to divide. So we can set it up as a fraction. And we divided by 2. Okay, so let's rewrite this. But now let's substitute the numbers that represent each of these variables. So base 1, the bottom number could be base 1, which is 6 inches. And we're going to add that to base 2, which is 7 inches. Close those parentheses. And we're going to multiply. So I'm going to put a little dot for multiply. We're going to multiply by the height, which is 8 inches. And then after we find all of that information, we want to divide. And we're going to divide by 2. Okay? So let's go ahead and go through this. So first thing, we want to add inside the parentheses. Parentheses go first. So 6 plus 7 will give us 13 inches. Bring down times 8 inches. Bring down the divided by 2. Then we have our multiplying on first. You could divide because you have this here, but let's go ahead and, actually no, let's go ahead and divide because we have 13 times 8 divided by 2. We can go ahead and do the dividing by 2 and then just multiply. So 2 goes into 2 one time. 2 goes into 8 how many times? 4 times. So now we're going to multiply 13 times 4. Okay, 4 times 3 will give us 12. Let's put that in the ones column. And we have a remainder 1. 4 times 1 would be 4. Plus that 1 from the 12 would be 5. And we need to make sure we include inches squared. Okay, you will get the same answer if you multiply 13 times 8, then divide by 2. But you can always divide by 2. If you have an even number on top, it will be easier than just multiply. Okay, so go ahead and try number 3 and number 4. Come back and check your work. Okay, let's check our answers for number 3. Here is my work. The answer was 35 feet squared. And for number 4, here's my work, and the answer was 42 millimeters squared. Let's go ahead and check the back of the page, or practice on the back of the page. Okay, so instead of going over number 1 with you, I'm actually going to go over number 2 with you, because number 1 is very similar to what we did on the front of the page, and most of this page is similar to what we did on the front. But number 2 and number 4, yeah, just number 2 and 4 are a little different, so I'm going to go over number 2 with you. So let's read this together. Leon makes a rectangular logo for his skateboarding club. He cuts from fabric 2 copies of the trapezoid shown and joins them to form a rectangle. So notice he is not forming a trapezoid, but he is going to put these together and form a rectangle. So that's going to be a little different. Okay, what is the area of the rectangular logo? So not what's the area of the trapezoid, but the rectangular. So that is going to be different. So let's go ahead and set up our formula, because first we have an area of a trapezoid, right? So we notice that he is going to use a trapezoid, but he's doing 2 copies. So we're going to find the area of the trapezoid, and then we're going to multiply that by 2. Okay, so let's write our formula. So area equals base 1 plus base 2 times our height, divide by 2. Okay, now we will rewrite this and substitute in the numbers that represent those variables. So base 1 is 9 centimeters plus base 2 is 5 centimeters. We're going to multiply that by 4 centimeters, and then we'll divide by 2. Okay, so we have 9 plus 5 centimeters is 14 centimeters. And then we will go ahead and let's do our divide by 2. So 2 goes into 2 one time, 2 goes into 4 2 times, and then 14 times 2 will be 28 centimeters squared, which they have that here. But remember, we have 2 copies of the trapezoid. So we want to multiply that by 2. So 2 times 8 will give us 16, carry the 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, so 56 centimeters squared will actually be the correct answer, which is A. Okay, so number 4 is just like number 2, so make sure when you're solving that you do the same kind of steps. But number 1, 3, 5, and 6 are just area of a trapezoid, so that's similar to what we did on the first page. Okay, go ahead and try the rest on this page. Come back and check your answers. Okay, let's go over the answers. So for number 1, here's my work. And the area of this trapezoid was 36 centimeters squared, which is C. For number 3, here's my work. And the area for this trapezoid was 8 feet squared, or A. Number 4, this is my work here. And the area of the rectangular design is 198 centimeters squared, which is D. And then for number 5, here's the work. And the area for one of the trapezoid pieces is 126.5 inches squared. And for number 6, the area of the sticker is 12 centimeters squared. Okay, I hope you understood this work, and we will be working on area some more next week. See you all here next week. Have a great weekend. Bye.